Good afternoon, everybody. Great to see everyone. Happy Saturday. We are excited that you're joining us on virtual day trip to wine country. I'm Sam Kimball from New York Wine Events, and we have a great show today. Lots of people interested in our journey. We are going to Italy, specifically the Piedmont region of Italy, which is an absolutely beautiful area in the northwestern part of the country, bordering France and Switzerland. It's one of about 20 regions in Italy. Piedmont actually sits at the foot of the Alps, which you can see the snow-covered mountains behind me. Piedmont is known for sophisticated and great cuisine and food, and world-renowned wines like Barolo, Barbaresco, Barbera, Nabiolo, and Arnese, and many more. I just want to put up on the screen here, just so everybody knows, has a sense of where we are going to. In the background, I'm going to put a map of Italy so you can see that Piedmont is way up there at the northwestern edge of the country. As I said, bordering Switzerland and France. I actually went there a year ago and visited with both of our guests that we have on the show today, which was great fun. It was an amazing experience. And one special note I want to add before we jump into everything is the capital of Piedmont is the city of Turin, which was the first capital of the Kingdom of Italy during the unification of the country by Garibaldi in the mid-19th century. And I can tell you from my visit and my personal experience, Turin is absolutely amazing. I've been to other cities, major cities in Italy, Rome, Milan, Venice. They're amazing, they're great. But when I first visited Turin a year ago, I was blown away. It was the site of the 2006 Winter Olympics, but it's also a city that is very, very rich in culture and history. And most Americans are actually unfamiliar with it. I'm going to put up in the background here another shot, which is actually just a wide shot of the city of Turin with the Alps in the background, and you can see it's gorgeous. It's really interesting. I really didn't know anything about it, and I came to understand that Americans are much less familiar with this wonderful city and this part of Italy. And as you'll see in a few minutes, because one of our guests is a real expert in everything Piedmont, including Turin, the city has amazing architecture and restaurants, churches, piazzas, gardens, museums, and other attractions. And it's really just a wonderful, wonderful spot. So a few folks are still logging in as I speak. So as we gather, I want to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us. As always, please ask any questions that you have along the way in the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, or even easier, just use the chat module in Zoom, and we will answer as many of those questions as we can throughout the session. Also, if you would, hit the chat now and let us know where you are tuning in from, what part of the country you're based in. We'd love to see where everybody's at. Okay, getting back to Piedmont, I would be remiss not to mention that later this year, New York Wine Events will be leading a week-long tour of Piedmont, its wineries, its restaurants, cultural attractions, including the city of Turin. We're excited about it. As I mentioned, I personally scouted the locations for the tour in late 2019. I had a wonderful experience doing that, and I'll be leading the tour this year when we go back in October with Marco Scaglione, who you're about to meet on the Zoom here. We'll be a group of no more than 16 people. If you're interested, you can find all the tour details on our website at newyorkwineevents.com. You can also absolutely feel free to contact me directly at sam@newyorkwineevents.com. I'm happy to chat about the tour, and to even jump on a phone call. One note right now, given everything that's going on, we are simply taking registrations of interest in the tour. And in the coming weeks, we will invite anyone and everyone who expresses an interest in finding out about it to a series of exclusive Zoom meetings where we'll discuss the details of the tour in depth, and the itinerary we have planned. And so again, you can check it all out at newyorkwineevents.com or just email me directly. So today, welcome. We are going to cover two primary topics. Both of them are really fun. One is exploring Piedmont and kind of getting to know about the region and what it's all about. And then this, including the city of Turin. And second, number two, is discovering the Gianni Gagliardo Winery, which is located in La Mora in the region of Barolo in the Piedmont area. And we have two great co-hosts today, Marco Scaglione, a tour guide who's based in Piedmont, and Paolo Gagliardo, the second generation member of the Gianni Gagliardo winery family. Gentlemen, welcome. It's great having you guys on the show today.
Thank you, Sam, and good evening, everyone, or good afternoon. It's 7:30 p.m. for us in Italy now.
Excellent.
Hello, everybody.
And hey, Paolo. So to explore Piedmont, I first want to start with you, Marco. A couple of questions. How long have you been in Piedmont?
Well, you want to know my age, basically, because I was born here. I was born here near Asti, and right now I'm in my home in the town of Asti, which is about an hour and a half from Milan and 30 minutes from Turin.
Excellent. And how long have you been a local guide in Piedmont?
So I've been a local guide since 2007. I led tours all over Italy for American tour operators, so the big cities, Rome, Florence, and Venice. And then I started focusing more on my region, which is a new discover, a great surprise for all visitors who come here. So I always get great feedbacks from everyone.
That's great. And I know that you have some really fun visual information and just key information about the region. Do you want to walk us through some of the background all about Piedmont and share your screen?
Absolutely. Let me share my screen right away. And there you go. Can you see it? Can you just give me a confirmation?
Yes.
Perfect. So yes, actually tonight, everyone, I would like to share with you 5 top reasons that should be enough for you to jump on a plane as soon as it would be possible and come and visit us. So as Sam said, we are in Northwest Italy. If you look at the map on the left of your screen, I've circled Milan just to give you an idea of how far we are. So down here, you can see 2 more circles, Asti and Alba. In these 2 towns is where basically most of the wine region is located. So that's where myself and also Paolo, that you're gonna meet in a few minutes, we both live down here. And or you can see Turin, the city of Turin. It's very, very close. The great thing about Piedmont is that, yes, we are surrounded by the Alps, but we are also an hour and a half from the Mediterranean coast. And that meant in the past that this land was really a place that everyone wanted to conquer for political reason, because of trades. And so in our culture, in our food, even in our dialect, we have influence from the French culture, from the Mediterranean. It's truly a melting pot of different flavors. So Piedmont is the second largest region of Italy after Sicily. And in terms of things to do and what to see, you have to consider four main different areas of interest. Let's say four different landscapes. So the first one, again, are the mountains, the Alps, which are obviously a great destination for outdoor lovers, both in summer and in winter. But on a tour of Piedmont, quite often we take our guests to find, the off the beaten track, a cheese producer, or maybe go and visit a small a village that really not many tourists get to get, and people takes home great memories of these beautiful mountains. We have some of the highest peaks of Europe in our region. The second area are the plains of the Po Valley. Now, don't get me wrong, I would never tell anyone to spend a week in the rice paddies. However, it's actually a surprising spot to break a drive. When you're coming from Milan, when you're coming from the north and you want to go down toward the wine region, we always recommend to stop to have lunch. The best risotto of the region is in this area. And if you look at the black and white picture on the right, this is from the 1950s. There are so many rice mills that one can visit, great memories of the past, hard life, hardships of the past, and so a lot of tradition as well from this part of the region.
Yeah, just to be clear, we will not be working in the rice paddies on the tour.
Unless you want to put your feet in the mud, then we can take you there. um, and then one of the favorite destination for everyone, especially for Americans, are our beautiful lakes. How many of you have heard of the Lake District of Italy? That actually is spread over three Italian regions from Piedmont all the way almost to Venice. Well, Piedmont has the second largest lake, which is called Lake Maggiore. There's another beautiful lake, a little smaller Lake Orta, which is actually the one that you see on the left. And we are very, very close to Lake Como, which is a must see in Italy. The picture that you see on the right was actually taken from one of the gardens that we visit on these beautiful lakes. So these lakes are very close to the airport. You come off the plane after a long flight. What a great way just to relax, enjoy these views. You can take day trips to wineries that are nearby or even to Switzerland. So we love our lake, sure. And then at the fourth area, that's what we're going to talk more about tonight, are the hills. When we talk about wine production in Piedmont, is more or less spread all over the region from north to south. But the southern part of Piedmont, that's where the hills that you see here belong to. That's, as I said, that's the wine region near Asti and Alba. And I'm going to tell you something more about these hills in a minute. For anyone who love wines from Piedmont, or even if you're new to this region, you never had any wine before, I think it is very important for everyone to understand and practice a little bit the pronunciation of these three words that you see here: Lange, Roero, and Monferrato. These are the names of three different hill districts, which are next to each other. I mean, you can go from one to another in 20 minutes by car or so. However, once you come here, we will tell you more in details all the things that are behind the scenes and the things that farmers and wine producers know very well, such as the soil composition, different exposure. So the result is that you can have the same grape varietal, but depending in which of these hill districts you grow your grapes, you get different wines. So if you look on the right of the screen, on the right side, the three different shades of red correspond to these different hill districts. The darkest one is called the Lange. It's probably the most well-known, and that's where the Barolo wine comes from. The largest one on the left, it's called Monferrato, and it's closer to Asti, but it's also much more sand. In the soil, you have much more sand compared to the Lange, which is more rich in clay. So obviously, this is just a first introduction. There is an entire world to discover. So once you come here, we take you around. There are great photo opportunities. These hills are actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And so doesn't matter what your interest is. It can be the wine, it can be art. Maybe you are a history buff. You just like to relax and enjoy the countryside. There is really a lot to do for everyone here in Piedmont. So let's get finally to the 5 top reasons to visit Piedmont. The first one, Sam already told you, wines. Piedmont is known for both red and white. Probably the red wines are the most well known, and the Nabiolo grape. It's a grape varietal indigenous from Piedmont. If you had a Nebbiolo from other parts of the world, I know it is grown probably even in California, Napa Valley. Here, it performs in a different way. And as I said earlier, you can find Nebbiolo all over Piedmont, but depending on the area where it is cultivated, you get different wines. So all these red words that you see here on the right side of the screens are just some of the wines obtained from Nebbiolo. And of course, you see the first one, Barolo, the king of the wines, and many, many others. They are all great. If you like full-body wines, I also recommend here in Piedmont to try Barbera. Barbera is the grape and is also the name of the wine. And then once you come here, we take you around and we actually discover that there is a Barbera near Alba, which is a different wine compared to Barbera d'Asti. So the Asti area, because the soil is different, gives a different wine. My favorite is the Barbera wine called Nizza. That's a young appellation. It came out a few years ago. But basically what they do here is aging the Barbera grapes in oak, just like they would do for the Nebbiolo to make Barolo. And so the result is great. I remember my grandfather, the poor man had 3 small vineyards of Barbera near Asti in the 1980s. He didn't make much money at that time. Barbera was underestimated, not much success. But now things are changing, and there is really a new appreciation for this wine.
Yeah, and
In case,
Marco, when I was there with you a year ago, I was expecting to be blown away by the Barolos and Barbarescos, and I was, and I love the Arnez wine as well, the white. But the Barbera is the one that really surprised me.
good.
We had some fantastic Barberas when we were there, and that was one I was not as familiar with. If you guys are familiar, hit us in the chat and let us know if you've had these wines. And probably many of the people watching have had Barolo and maybe Barbaresco, but Barbera and Arnez and some of the others, let us know.
And in case that some of you actually prefer white wines, be aware that in Piedmont you can be surprised by the number of white wines. My favorite are actually the Favorita and also the Arnaz, nice, crispy, chill, especially with a starter, even with pasta. And then, of course, the Moscato, the sweet wine, the sparkling wine, the Asti Spumante, and many, many others. Now, second top reason to visit Piedmont, food. Now, we all agree food is great in Italy all over the country, right? From north to south. But trust me that here in Piedmont, we have the most refined cuisine of Italy. And why is that? It's because we use our local ingredients, seasonal, of course, but we put more work in it. So there is a little bit of French influence. We got the flavors of the Mediterranean coast, which is very close. So some ingredients such as capers or salted anchovies. Look at this pasta here. This is our egg pasta. The real like recipe, the most traditional recipe goes between 20 and 30 eggs each kilo of flour. So it's a super rich pasta. It takes a lot of energy to roll it out. The food in Piedmont is nothing like the rest of Italy. And then, of course, if you come in fall, that will be the season of the white truffle. So look at this poached egg here. I hope you're getting hungry. My favorite is this beef slowly cooked for hours in Barolo wine. And then, of course, the desserts, the pastry, the hazelnuts. I mean, there's tons of food here. And we make sure to feed you well when you come and visit us. Third reason to visit Piedmont, no mass tourism. Now, you may be surprised, but actually, this is one of the few corners of Italy where it's still authentic. Like you would never find here a town with 40 big bus parked with large groups, you know, crowding our villages. Um,
You can't
it's
fit those
still
buses. You can't fit those big buses up the little hills and the little roads.
That's true, and also you know we are in northwest Italy, so while Tuscany, for instance, is very close to Rome, and everybody you know gets there in and out as you travel across Italy. If you want to come to Piedmont, you have to come on purpose. So I think that one of the great highlights for any vacation here in Piedmont is that you can go and meet local people. It can be a truffle hunter, it can be the wine producer, it can be a food purveyor. It can be, you know, a food tour where you go in these small food stores in the city center of Turin and find these hidden gems. People are still passionate about what they do. They want to engage. Their visitors are welcome, even though in Italy we have a reputation. Everyone says that Piedmontese people are a little colder compared to people from the south, but that doesn't mean that we actually love visitors. And trust me that all these people are willing to open the doors of their homes and let you come in and share their experience. Fourth top reason, as I mentioned earlier, the beauty of our wine region. In fact, the hills where Paolo and I live are a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That means that everything that you see is man-made. So look at this picture. You can see how the vineyards design geometry, and there are farmhouses scattered around, medieval castles on top of hills. I mean, it's a it's a type of landscape that comes from a need, which is the winemaking, right? And so over centuries, farmers have decorated our hills in what you see today. This is not a museum. This is a site where thousands of people live. So uh, what we like to do as a tour guide is also to share the hardships of maintaining such a beautiful site and living in there at the same time. Now, fifth and top reason, Sam already told you earlier, Turin. Torino is a great find. It's a great discover. Actually, when I started doing this job, for some reasons, we tend to keep people more in the countryside. But then we discovered that people enjoy touring because it's a great cosmopolitan city. Most of the city center is pedestrian, great dining options, museums. If you like the Baroque architecture, so anything from the 16 and the 1700, I mean, look at these domes over here. These are completely different from the Dome of St. Peter in Rome, for instance. So I'm sure that many of you have heard of Turin as a polluted city. It was the car factory, the Fiat, right? It was like that for over a century, but then things start to change and people rediscover the great legacy, the great heritage in terms of art that the city has to offer. So yeah, I hope to see you here very soon. As soon as would be possible, would be very happy to have you here. So thank you so much for your attention tonight.
Marco, thank you. That was a great overview, and it as much as can be done with slides and talking on Zoom, it does justice to the wonderful experience in the region. Before we jump into the wines, does anybody have questions specifically on anything that Marco just showed us? Because as any of you who and I see some people who have joined us previously for our virtual Tasters of Wine Country, if you have questions, we like to answer them live along the way. So let us know in the chat if you have anything you want to ask about. And with that, we will now zoom in, so to speak, into the section of the Piedmont region in La Mora, which is in the Barolo part of Piedmont. And we're going to visit now with Paolo Gagliardo, who is the second generation member of the Gianni Gagliardo Winery family. And Paolo, it's great having you. I went to the winery a year ago and I loved it. We're really excited about sharing today 4 special wines that you guys make. I'm gonna put up in my background here a shot of the vineyards. You guys are in a beautiful part of Piedmont. Amongst other things, your specialty as a winery is Barolo wines. You're in Barolo. And Barolo is probably the most famous of the wines from the region. And, people probably who are watching know that it has a great floral aromatic and smell, and the look is very elegant, but it has a punch and a power. But you guys at Gagliardo have really built a reputation as the maker of elegant wines. And that elegance, how do you do that with such a powerful wine type and varietal when you make Barolo?
Well, first of all, hello everybody, and thank you, Sam, for inviting me today. And I had to correct you because I'm not the second generation; I'm the 6th generation.
So, 6th generation, my bad. How many years has the winery been operating in its current location?
Well. My family has always been working in the vineyards in Piedmont, so always making Piedmontese wines, but just as farmers. So in 1961, we moved to La Mora, so in the heart of Barolo area, and then we started to make Barolo.
Got it.
Yeah, and as you said already, our style is the elegance, but I have to be true. Nabiolo is elegance already by himself. You just need to respect what the nature already gave to us. Barolo became so well known because of Nabiolo grapes. Nabiolo, that is the variety that create Barolo. We use Nabiolo to make Barolo wines. Is an amazing variety, is a delicate variety, is a sensitive variety, and it can reach the best characteristic only in Barolo and Barbaresco area. So this is a really little corner of Piemonte with some special characteristics, a mix of terroir, microclimates, and Nebbiolo work as a magnifying lens. So getting the best character of our region, and if you work in a certain way in the cellar, then you have those characteristics in the glasses. So of course, we mainly work with delicacy. We work with big cask, so the wood aging that is mandatory by law needs to be done in a certain way. So also the kind of the wood that we use need to be studied well, and the size of the cask is very important. That's why we use, as you see in the picture right now, big ones. So this is what actually make Barolo be an elegant wine. It's just it born as elegance. This is why we are lucky here in this region.
No, that's great. And talk a little bit about, I know that you guys have, you grow grapes in 3 local areas or regions within Piedmont. What are those 3, and talk a little bit about how you then work within the individual areas, because I know you're really involved with micro vinification and really target selecting the grapes to make specific wines.
This is true. Marco already during his presentation told you about the 3 main wine regions around my cellar, around Alba and Asti. So Lange, Roero, and Monferrato. And my family make wine only with our own grapes, and we own vineyards in Barolo area, that is in the Lange region, in Roero, and also in Monferrato. So in all the 3 regions. So actually in all our production is mainly focused in 3 different varieties, Piedmontese varieties. So Barbera, that is mainly grown in Monferrato area. Then Favorita grapes, that is mainly cultivated in Roero. And then of course in a few minutes I will go deeper in the characteristic of those. And then third, Nabiolo, that is the king of our Barolo region.
Yep.
In Barolo, depending on where you grow your grapes, you can have a completely different character. If you zoom in into a single vineyard, you can find out that you can split the vineyards in 2, 3, even 4 smaller plots. Sometimes also 1 or 2 rows can have a different taste than the upper side of the vineyard or the lower side. So a few meters are really making the difference. So our family focused in micro vinifications. This means that in Barolo area, working with Nabiolo, we do a strong selection in every single vineyard that we own, and we own 8 different vineyards spread all over the Barolo region. We collect separately the grapes, and we vinify separately those grapes as a separate wines. And then we let them evolve for a few months, and then when those are ready, so when they start to show their character, then we decide what to do. So there are some grapes that are perfect to be blended together, some other grapes that are perfect to, let's say that they just win the bottle. So they just will be bottled by themselves as a single vineyard, and others that are not vinified by us, or well, bottled by us. Those are the secondary choices. You know that nature always balances the things, to do big things, but also not so good things. And if something do not reach our standard level, then we don't go in the bottle with that. So we don't do secondary labels, other brands, other logos, other wines. We just want to go in the bottle with our brand with the best quality possible. That's it. And I just talk about Nabiolo grapes.
Yep, got it. Yeah, that's important. I mean, some people don't realize what the makeup in terms of grape varietals are of some of these wines, but specifically Barolo is a Nabiolo originated wine.
Of course, we and talk about also the quantities. We make 8 different Barolo. 2 are blended Barolo and 6 are single vineyard expression. But sometimes when you just select and you bottle only the top, then you go on the market with 500 bottles, 800 bottles, 1,000 bottles of availability. So really niche product.
Yep. Got it. And I think you explained this a moment ago, but just to be clear, all the Gagliardo wines are small production, anywhere from as few as 5,000 bottles down to 1,000 bottles. So we're talking about, hundreds of cases as opposed to thousands of cases. Yeah. All right, so let's jump into the 4 wines for today. I'm going to show everybody in the background here on my screen, and then we'll put it up as well, full screen. Today, actually, you can order any of these wines if you're interested. They're available from Gagliardo Winery directly. So you'll see that URL is in my background, which is shop.gagliardo.it. And there is an offer. Paolo is doing a 5% off with the promo code MEET, MEET. And also, for anybody who's really into the wines, Paolo's doing an amazing deal on if you buy a case, which is a couple $100 and change, there's no charge for shipping. And you're saving, in that case, you're saving about $150. If you're a fan, these wines are amazing. I was at the winery myself and tasted a lot of the wines, and Gagliardo is truly elegant wine. So I think the first one we're gonna look at, and by the way, you can, as Ron just pointed out in the chat, you can buy a mixed case. You don't have to get all of the same case. You can buy a mixture of the wines that Gagliardo sells on their shop.gagliardo.it website. A lot of the wines, Laura, are not located in New York specifically. There is definitely, Gagliardo has distribution in the United States, but it's only on select wines in their portfolio. It's not on everything. For example, Paolo, the first wine we're going to taste is this amazing white that you guys make, the Favorita, which is very special and unique. Is that in the US or is that only available from the winery?
That one is available in the US.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it can be available because, it's far away, so I cannot control everything, but it's definitely in the US.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
So you can search it in the US.
Today we will taste 4 wines. So I will describe to you 4 wines. 3 of those will be available and 1 will not be available.
Got it. Three are available in the US and 1 is not.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll jump into the first one here, which is the Favorita.
Exactly.
I have it in the background of my screen here. It's actually very affordable. This is a delicious white that you guys make.
And that's the wine. And that's the bottle of my Fallegro. Fallegro is the variety of Fallegro is Favorita. And Favorita, that means favorite, is actually a niche variety of Piedmont. There are not so many wine producers that make this wine. I'm talking about more or less 1 million bottles produced in the entire region. So really something little. And my family was one of the first that in the early 70s actually rediscovered this variety that was disappearing, was just table grape. And then we made some tries. My father, Gianni Gagliardo, made some tries and of vinification, and we understood that it was something really interesting. And so we started. And this year we are now, in a few weeks, we will bottle the vintage number 47. So we are really proud about that. One of the few white wines that we produce. We mainly produce red, but with Fallegro, so with Favorita grapes, we do an exception for this. That's why we care a lot about this. And the wine is mainly cultivated in the sandy soil of Roero, and Roero region is in the north of Barolo, so we have Barolo and then up with Roero. Huge difference in terms of soil, perfect for the production of the white because of the sand I was talking about. That's why it is a crisp wine. You have minerality, you have touch of flint, you have some green apple, some lime. So freshness is what is the main character of this wine, and it's perfect to be drink by itself or with some light meal like salad, some chicken.
And question from Melissa, Paolo, is this wine DOCG?
This wine is a DOC, and I'm looking at the chart, and Erin is asking that is Favorita generically related to Vermentino. Erin is a wine expert because actually Favorita is how Piedmontese people call the Vermentino grapes. Vermentino is white variety that is spread all over the Mediterranean coast. So not typically in the countryside in Italy. And this is the only one, Favorita, only Vermentino that grow out away from the seaside. And actually it was my family that discovered that. We worked a lot with the university. We did some DNA test and it came out this link.
Is it oak barrel aged?
And it's just made in stainless steel. So it's fresh and crisp and easy to drink.
Got it. Awesome. Well, that's a great wine to start the tasting with. And then the next one, we're going to move on to a traditional Nebbiolo from the region. Am I right?
So I thought about 3 main grapes. Today we will focus on 2. So we skip Barbera for today. I was reading that someone is drinking Barbera right now while watching that. So we did already Favorita, and now we focus on 3 different expression of Nebbiolo variety from 3 different regions. Let's start with Langenebiolo. Langenebiolo, as you see, Dabatier. Dabatier is a 2018 wine. Langenebiolo is a generic appellation of Nebbiolo. Lange, as you know already, is the name of the region. And we mainly grow this wine in Roero area. So again, in sandy soil. The appellation rules allow us to grow Nebbiolo grapes also outside the Lange region with the name and give the name Lange. Sometimes can be confusing, but this is an expression of Nebbiolo from the sandy soil. Nebbiolo in the sandy soil came out with an amazing minerality and freshness. Is a fruity driven, is the lightest and most delicate and fragrant expression of Nebbiolo you can have. You can have some plums, some cherries, a good minerality, a good freshness, and also this wine is not aged in oak, so only in stainless steel, just to keep the pure taste, the pure character of the Nebbiolo grapes. By law, we are allowed to add 15% of other grape varieties to this appellation, but we decided to just go straight and do 100% Nebbiolo wine.
And Paolo, what's your favorite food to pair with this Langenebiolo?
With the Langenebiolo, I will go for an aperitivo with a nice salami and some cheese with as a start.
So charcuterie and cheese.
Perfect.
Excellent. So what would you describe? I mean, how acidic is this? Medium acidity?
This is I would say medium acidity. Yeah.
Yep. And
Nebbiolo, luckily, if you work well with Nebbiolo, you don't exceed in characteristics. So you work with Nebbiolo, you work with balance. So you don't have a really acid wine, really tannic wine, a really strong wine. You have complexity, you have powerful wines, but typically well balanced. So if you work in a certain way, then you have balance. And I think when you get balance in Nebbiolo, then you get quality.
So medium acidity,
medium,
and relatively light on the tannins, yeah.
Really light on tannins, also because no oak aging means that the tannins only came from the fruity. So
and probably structurally medium body.
Totally, yeah.
Yep. Excellent. All right, should we move on to the to the next one, which is our first Barolo. Which
Exactly.
This one is DOCG, yeah?
This one is DOCG, and for today, I choose to talk about two different Barolo regions, because inside Barolo, you can divide the region in two main areas. The north and west side, where you get the feminine side of Barolo. So you get the elegance, you get the fruitiness, you get the delicacy. In the southeast side, then you get the power and the complexity. This Barolo DOCG 2016, is actually a blend of all the vineyards that we have, but the 60% of this wine came from the northern side of Barolo, La Morra area. Those are the main grapes, are the grapes around our cellar. This means that this wine is mainly driven by the elegance, the softness, is a well balanced between the fruitiness and the aging also, and the maturity phases of Barolo. This is a wine that, you know, that Barolo perform in a good way if you age it. But this Barolo can age for 15, 20 years with absolutely no problem. But also, the latest vintages allow us to go on the market with Barolo wines that are quite ready. And here we now have some red fruit, some earthiness, pepper, black pepper, some violet notes. So this is we grow a little bit in complexities, so a little bit more than a medium body is a well-bodied wine. And this by law, as a Barolo, must be kept in the wood. So to make Barolo, you need to use Nebbiolo grapes, 100%, from Barolo area, so only from Barolo area. Your cellar needs to be inside the Barolo area. So also all the vinification and aging phases must be done in our region. And you need to age it for at least a minimum of 3 years, of which at least 18 months of wood. Those are the minimum by law. For our decisions, for the barrels that we take, that we use, for the wood that we choose, we keep it a little bit more than the 18 months. So we reach 28, 30 months, because there's a slower evolution phase. So we prefer to get it slower, because the slower you age it, the more delicate you are.
Quick question. Jan has a question. How long can we keep the Langenebiolo before drinking it?
So the Langenebiolo is not an aging wine. So you can, of course, is Nebbiolo. So have a good level of acidity and is in balance with the tannins. But the total structure is not a structure of wine that you can keep for many, many years. So I would say no more than 4 or 5 years.
Got it.
Is Nebbiolo. So Nebbiolo will evolve always. So the difference of Nebbiolo is a great wine. It's not and the difference between the big wines and the great wines is that the big wines typically resist the time, and the great wines evolve thanks to the time. That's a big difference. And Nebbiolo is absolutely evolving in a good way.
Excellent. So let's move on to the final wine. Oh, wait a minute. We have a question from Chai. What is the ABV, the alcohol by volume of this Lange?
The Barolo, for the Barolo. The alcohol by volume. I never remember those numbers. So that would be 14.5%. On average, in the last 6-8 years, the alcohol percentage always with Barolo go around 14.5%.
All right, so we're going to go on to the final wine, which is the grand finale. This is a big wine. This is a really great one. This is the Lazzarito. And
Lazzarito is actually the vineyard that you have in the background. This is exactly the vineyard where we picked the grapes to make this wine. Lazzarito is the name of the area, in Barolo, we have many small areas that are called MGA, and inside those wine areas, we have single vineyards with specific names, and we have a little monopoly, and this is the Vigna Preve. Preve is the name of that particular place. Is the top of the hill of Lazzarito MGA. We are in Serra Lunga d'Alba, so top south of Barolo area. We have old soils, clay, limestone, minerals, but we are on the top of the hill. And because of the erosion, we only have 60 centimeters of soil available for the roots. That is not so much. So we have a lot of stress for the vines. And when the vine is stressed, then get more attention, more energy into make the grapes, the fruits. So we have a lot of complexity in this wine. This is in the same vintage, 2016, like the previous Barolo, but the production is only about 2,000 bottles only. Has been kept in a one single cask of 20 hectoliters for 30 months. Also this one, like the other Barolo, and but in a 10 minutes by car between the first vineyard and this one, you have a huge difference in terms of taste and structure. This is more minty. You have more spiciness. You have the minerality and that play with the tannins. You have a much more structure. This is a full-bodied wine with a more aging potential. This is a wine that you can forget about it in the cellar, but I suggest you not do it. But you can keep it for 35, even 40 years, and this Barolo will continue to evolve. This is, you have leather, you have chocolate, and I think the main important characteristic of Lazzarito is the length. So every year, this is really the character of that vineyard, the length. So when you have it, when you drink it, you taste it, and then when you don't have it anymore in your mouth, you have still there the minerality and the tannins and the acidity that play together for minutes in the tongue, in the palate, and still there.
Yeah, that's great. Really quick, so we have a bunch of comments and questions, so I want to try to field all of these, Paolo. This wine is a gorgeous wine. I've tasted it at your winery.
You did, yeah, I remember.
So now, Erin is studying Italian wines. She asks, is the Vigna Preve considered a Bricco or a Sori?
Bricco or Sori, yes, is something similar. In Italy, we are lucky because we have so many beauty things. In Barolo area, we are lucky that we have Nabiolo that express its best expression. The Italians are not so good to manage those things. So we created some confusion in terms, names, classifications, and geographical area. So yes, we have Barolo area that is divided into 166 small MGA. Inside the MGA, we have some Bricco, Sori, Vigna, some different names. But all those, more you go deep and more you have quality and more the rules to make the wine are more hard to be followed and more strict. Vigna is the much more precise appellation you can have with more hard rules to follow.
So it's a subcategory of Bricco or Sori.
Exactly.
Which
exactly.
one is it a subcategory of?
Oh, Bricco or Sori can be comparable as terms.
Yeah, okay, so they're sort of the same.
Yeah.
Melissa is asking, should we decant this wine? I think the answer is yes.
I have to be true. I don't like decanter personally, But if you want to decant it, of course, this is a wine that have a long evolution in the glass. So first of all, use a big glass. This is helpful. If you don't have time to maybe open it up 1 hour earlier, I strongly suggest you to do a double decant. This means that you take the bottle, you take another bottle, an empty one, or even a decanter if you want one. You put the wine into the decanter, and then you put it back in the same bottle without waiting too much. Just do the movements, and you put it back. And in this fast movement, it takes enough air to start the evolution, a little bit of evolution. And then you let it open without the cork for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it's kind of give it a kick. It's like giving a kick of opening up. And so you do not lose phases of the evolution, because sometimes the decanter can during the opening time in the decanter before drinking, he already evolved. He already shows something.
Right. It goes fast in the decanter. And this is double decanting is a way to make it go a little bit slower. Yeah.
That's what I prefer doing.
Yeah, that's so interesting. What's the ABV, Paolo? What's the ABV of the Vigna Preve Barolo? This last one.
Same of the Barolo, the first Barolo, so 14.5.
14.5. Is Lange only growing Nabiolo, or are they growing other grapes besides Nabiolo?
Lange appellation is general appellation of our region. So you can find on the market different variety with the same appellation.
So it's not only Nebbiolo. It's
not only Nebbiolo. You can have Langenebiolo, Lange Arnese, Lange Favorita, Lange, other varieties.
And then there's a question from Kathy. How do you keep the soil? So I have this great shot of the vineyard in my background here. How do you keep the soils healthy and sustainable?
This is a good question, and require about 1 week of explanation, I think. And I need also maybe together with my brother, because we have 3 brothers. I'm the youngest. Then the second brother, Alberto, is managing the vineyards, all the vineyards by itself. And we are certified organic. So we don't use chemicals. We just use sulfur and copper in our vineyards. We don't spray anything that can be unhealthy for the body. And the vineyard itself need to be in balance. If the vineyard, the soil, the organic substances, all the minerals in the soil are on balance, then we have good grapes, and so we can have good balance. This is really the base. And there are many techniques to do that. First, then we work also mechanically inside the vineyards to cut the grass. To avoid the infections and the bugs, we use hormones, pheromones. I don't know if I'm saying that in a good way. So those are capsules that we put in the vineyards. Female is called sexual confusion. So the female and the male cannot meet because there is too much pheromones. It's what happened in every club in Saturday night.
Got it. That's great. Well, Paolo, this has been an amazing tour of the winery. The only thing better than this tour is to actually go to the winery.
Exactly. That's the last step, the most important. Huh?
I have to say, like, I was so impressed. I just want to share with everybody, when I was there, so Gagliardo is this beautiful castle-like building and facility on top of a hill in Barolo. You can see from the picture behind me that this is just in the vineyard, but you're even higher at the winery. and you're looking down at all these different parts of their vineyards and property where they grow grapes. It's absolutely magical. And then, of course, you know, you have that amazing barrel room, which I'm putting in my background now. I mean, this is actually the main, you know, hallway or aisle through the barrels at Gagliardo, which is kind of great. The other thing too, I mean, we didn't do justice to it, and Marco did such an amazing job showing us all about Piedmont. But one of the things that's amazing when you're there is you're not only sampling and tasting and discovering these great wines that, and there are, and in Barolo alone, I think there are 500 wineries, right, Paolo? Something like that.
Sorry, I have to be true. I was answering in the chat too.
Oh,
so,
sorry.
but I can hear you.
Saying, I think in Barolo alone, there's 500 wineries. Yeah.
There are many. There are many. There are 360, but we have 2,000 hectares of surface. Right. So I don't know in acres. I always forget how to change it in acres. But it's like we are all neighbors. So there are many wineries.
Well, and the wineries are right up. But the thing that's amazing, which is what Marco and his team are so good at, is we'll go on, when we're there, we go from an incredible winery like Gagliardo, and then we go to an affinitore, which is the cheese finisher, who has like an amazing facility where you go down and you actually do a whole tasting of different cheeses that have been aging in the facility with wine from the region. It's magical. So if you like wine and food, Piedmont is a great spot to go to. We're coming up on, we're just a little over an hour, so I think we're going to wrap things up. Does anybody have any additional questions that we can answer before we sign off? Just hit us in the chat. Otherwise, I want to thank Marco and Paolo for joining us. It's now 8:30 at night over there, and we appreciate you staying late on a Saturday. And for everybody watching, we'll send a follow-up email with the recording of this broadcast. And we'll also we'll send a link if anybody's interested to see like the details and the itinerary for the trip that we're doing in October. And if you're interested in that, just let us know. So thank you so much, guys. Grazie mille for joining us. And Marco and Paolo, stay safe, and we will talk to you very, very soon.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure talking to you tonight. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you also for giving me the opportunity to be in your houses today.
From Gagliardo to your living room. All right, ciao. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.